So you want to learn about all the planes of existence? Well, I'm here to make that process super simple with just the basics on how it all works. Coming up. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm going to help you lower that DC in your game by giving you a quick and efficient breakdown of all the planes. Now, if you want to get right into it where I build all the planes of existence, then here's a timestamp for that. This was the most overwhelming concept to me when I first started DMing. In fact, in my first campaign, I was so intimidated by all this, I came up with an in-game lore reason why there were no inner or outer planes. Now, you don't have to use all these planes in your campaign. In fact, I would not recommend it. But just knowing a little bit about the flavor and function of each of these planes will help you find ways to insert them into your own campaign where it makes sense. This would literally open up that world of possibilities and add more tools to that DM belt. Time out. Guys, we're getting a little bigger here on this channel. I was contacted by Gonzalo from Codex Anathema, and he asked me to join the RPG Carnival. He was looking for content creators across different platforms to come together on different topics each month. The topic for April is a whole new world, so my contribution is all the planes. I was honored to even be asked to join this, and little did he know, I've made an entire custom resource going over all of it, with descriptions, mechanics, zone-wide auras, how magic works on each plane, and more. I have scoured the internet and all official resources to make the best interpretation of these planes that I possibly could. Enough chit-chat, let's make a universe. This video will be the core video to all of this, and in the future when I make videos about each plane, I'm going to link them all to this video down in the description. I'll go into specific details in those follow-up videos, and eventually we'll go through them all. So here we go. First plane of existence is the most simple. It's the material plane, which is where most all campaigns take place, and I'm represented by this tennis ball right here, material plane. But the next two planes that are literally tied to the material plane and they're echoes or reflections of it is the Feywild and the Shadowfell. You can think of these as positive and negative reflections of the material plane, and it's just a twisted version of it. If there was a mountain in the material plane, at that exact location in the Shadowfell, it could be a volcano. Or on the other side of things, you could be walking through a completely normal forest in the material plane, but in the Feywild, it's a colorful, dense forest filled with pixies and other fey creatures. All three of these planes are connected and affect each other. A mountain avalanche in the material plane could be that volcano erupting in the Shadowfell. Next up is the first of our two transitive planes, which are just planes that's main purpose is to get from one place to another. The Ethereal Plane. Huh? See why I picked Saran Wrap? The Ethereal Plane is like a ghosty fog plane that wraps around the material plane. The Ethereal Plane's been used a lot in different types of movies. An example to get you to picture this would be in Lord of the Rings when Frodo puts that ring on and everything's blurry and hazy around him. He's right there next to everyone and he can see them, but he's in another plane. So this is that ghostly layer that weaves through everything. This one might get a little messy. Now for all the elemental planes. I was gonna have 4 different colors of Gatorade that I pour into this, but you're gonna have to use your imagination. With all the planes we just talked about, swirling around them are the other elemental planes. These planes are exactly what you think. The plane of water is an endless ocean. The plane of earth has caves and tunnels going everywhere. The plane of air is an endless sky with some floating rock civilizations. And the plane of fire is definitely hot as hell. And I mean hell like the 9 hells, but we'll get to that in a second. It has rivers of flowing lava and that famous city of brass. So imagine all 4 of the elements, air, water, fire, and the earth plane, all swirling around the material plane and every. There we go. So you got all 4 of these planes swirling around, touching each other, and that's important to be able to move from one plane to another. How to travel between all these planes would be a whole video to itself, but I want you to picture that you have the material plane with its 2 echo planes, the Feywild and the Shadowfell, all with this ghostly ethereal plane weaving through it, with a swirling vortex of all the elements swirling around on the outside. All of these elemental planes are considered to be the inner planes, and now we have another transitive plane. The Astral Plane is huge because it wraps around and connects everything together. And this is where the analogy breaks down, because the outer planes are everywhere. I'll definitely have a picture. Plane of water's leaking. Oh, God. So here's a picture of all the outer planes. On the opposite ends of the spectrum here, you have Elysium being the true good plane and Hades being the true evil plane. And for the lawful and chaotic spectrum, you have Mechanus as true law and Limbo as true chaos. So the planes sandwiched in the middle are hybrids of these alignments. Arborea would be chaotic good, Mount Celestia, lawful good, with the Abyss being chaotic evil and the 9 hells being lawful evil. And the planes sandwiched between that just slide further along these spectrums. So compared to the Abyss, Pandemonium would be more chaotic and Carcerai would be more evil. So here's that quick and efficient rundown to give you a taste of all these. Limbo is an ever-changing chaos where there's no gravity and matter constantly changes state. Rocks melt into water that freezes into metal. Pandemonium is utter madness with a constant windstorm of sand and screaming voices. The Abyss is crazy, and it's called the Plane of Infinite Layers. In true chaotic evil fashion, the planes are random and everywhere. I can't even give you a true breakdown because there's an infinite amount of these things. Technically, the first layer is called Pazunia, which is a barren wasteland filled with craters, and at the bottom of each crater is a portal to another layer of the Abyss. The plane of Carcerai is literally a prison plane. And this plane has 6 different layers to it, where creatures from all across the universe are held prisoner here, and each one of those layers has a higher and higher security system. Hades is a gray, barren wasteland devoid of color. Everything you see here is in grayscale, and there's an overwhelming sense of despair and hopelessness. The planet Gehenna has multiple layers, with each layer being dominated by a volcano of increasing severity. This planet is also home to Yugoloths, which is an interesting middle ground between demons and devils. And those guys could get their own video. And of course you have the 9 Hells, also known as Baator. In comparison to that chaotic abyss, this is a very structured, lawful evil. There's a highly organized 9-layer system here, with each layer having its own archdevil in charge of it. Time to pick up the pace. The plane of Acheron is nothing but giant floating metal cubes. These cubes can range in size from a little small cube all the way up to a planet-sized cube, with them constantly moving around the air, slamming into each other. Mechanus is a plane of true law and order. All the inhabitants here are a machine race called Modrons. These all function like a giant CPU hive mind. The plane itself is like a conveyor belt on steroids, constantly shifting and changing underneath you. Arcadia is a land of peace and harmony. Rolling green hills with thriving orchards that are in geometrically pleasing positions. Because again, this is a good plane, but keep in mind in that spectrum, it has some heavy lawful influences. And then we have Mount Celestia. You could think of this plane in reflection to the 9 Hells. Both heavily lawful, but this one is good. This has 7 highly structured layers that start at the base of a mountain and work their way up all the way to the top. The planet Bytopia fascinates me because it's 2 civilizations in one. What I mean by this is the plane has 2 layers, but they're on top of each other. If you're standing on this layer and look up into the sky would be this layer. There's pillars and spiraling staircases connecting these 2 planes. And imagine this for a second. If you're on one plane and you start going up that spiral staircase, once you reach that halfway point between the 2 planes, gravity switches and you'd be going downstairs to get to the other side. Whoa. Elysium is a plane of kindness and compassion. All the layers in this plane are heavily dominated by the river Oceanus that flows through all the good planes. And instead of a prison plane like Carcerai, this plane is viewed as a safe haven. And for the Beastlands, you can imagine what it would be like. A dense wilderness of forests and jungles, home to many beastly creatures that are highly intelligent. Things are starting to get a little more chaotic now, but we're still good. Arborea is a plane of party and celebration. This plane is full of mountains and forests and people who love to party and gamble. And the last plane here is Isgard. Am I saying it right? Isgard? Ysgard. Imagine this plane like a Viking battleground. Floating islands, deep fjords, and windswept battlefields. This plane is all about honor and battle. Anyone who's slain in combat on the fields of glory is automatically revived the next day to come back for more. Woo! There's all the outer planes. So you have the material plane with its 2 echoes, the ethereal plane weaved throughout it, surrounded by the elemental chaos, with the astral plane connecting it all together, and leaving us with all the outer planes to have this. But what's behind that? What's outside the outer planes? Well, that's called the Far Realm, and I'm all out of visual aids for that one. I hope this helped you guys wrap your head around it. No. I really do want to make a better physical representation for this, and I feel like you could do it with all the 3D printers and stuff now. And I picture the elemental chaos like a lava lamp with 4 different blobs swirling around. So there's the basics of everything, but the coolest part is you can customize this universe however you want. In fact, in my homebrew universe, I take the plane of Carcerai, which is on the chaotic side, and move it over to the lawful evil side, which just makes more sense. But all that is for another video. I'm going to have a playlist on this channel of everything having to do with the planes, so comment down below on which one you want to see next. If this video gets 200 likes, I'll make that video. How each of these planes work, what they look like, what's in it, or how to travel between them. And now I have some big news to share with you guys. I've already been blown away with all the support I've got for this channel, from subscribers to my Patreons, and now this. Some of y'all already know, but I've been editing all the videos so far on my phone, and I've been using this pretty cheap mic until now. One of my patrons, Edric Kianse, sent me a message that floored me. When he found out I've been editing everything on my phone, he said, "Hey, I'm gonna buy you a laptop." I was speechless and I thought I was being April Fool's. But he was dead serious and he donated an iPad to this channel. This will be massively easier to edit on, and not only that, but we also got this. Let me get this. And now we have a really nice mic for audio. Whoa. So if you notice a jump in quality in these videos, he gave us a huge stimulus package to this channel. And alongside the support from the rest of my Patreon army, I have been blown away. So thank you to Edric, long may he reign, and thank you all for the support. Everything from liking and commenting these videos to joining me on Patreon goes a long way. There'll be a link down in the description if you want to check out all those reward tiers. There'll also be a list of all those planes of existence, and once I make videos, I'll put them there too. So until next time, stay creative and think outside that box. Peace.